Hey everybody, it's Rico Go, and in this video I'm going to talk about everything you need to know when you want to move or immigrate to Cyprus. I'm going to talk about the most important things such as the immigration process, finding work or a job here, cars, houses, and whether or not you should rent or buy them and where to find the best ones. So definitely watch this video until the end, as it's getting very interesting. I myself moved to Cyprus about 2 years ago and I love it. I really love the lifestyle here, the people that I meet, the freedom and many more benefits. I have different videos talking about why you should move to Cyprus, but now we are focusing on what to do when you want to do so. Also, something key that I want to say is that it is more about actually doing it, not so much about knowing it, because the process can be very simple if you know how to do it. So it's just in the end about actually doing it and taking the step. But as I did it myself, I definitely know how big of a step that can be and how it feels. So I'm happy to be able to help a lot of people taking the step and doing something completely new and trying to change their lives. So let's start with this video. The first thing I want to talk about is the actual immigration process. But before we start going into detail here, I first want to recommend everyone that is planning to move to Cyprus to first come here and take a look at the country. So just come here for maybe some weeks, book an Airbnb or a hotel and get to know the cities, the island, the people, and see if it's really the best choice for you. The chances are very high, but definitely make sure to do so. Now, when you want to enter Cyprus as a European person, you don't have many problems. You don't need a visa, you can just enter the country and stay here for up to 3 months. If you are a non-European person, you definitely need to apply for a visa in order to come to Cyprus. There are some countries where you can still enter Cyprus even though it's not a European country, but make sure to check the official government websites in order to get the most accurate informations. If you want a visa, however, then you need to apply online for the Cyprus visa. And there are different types of visas, for example, a student visa, work visa, there's even a Schengen visa, so definitely make sure to find the right visa for you. If you then entered Cyprus and your plans are to stay here for longer than 90 days, you need to apply for a residency permit. A residency permit allows you to stay longer than 90 days here in Cyprus, and there are basically 3 different residency permits. There is a temporary one, which allows you to stay in Cyprus for up to 1 year, and you can renew this one up to 5 times. After that, we have the permanent residency, and even though it's called permanent, it's just up to 5 years. And you can just get this one with specific conditions, so make sure to research that as well. If I would go into detail on every little thing here, this video would be just too long, so I'm just touching everything a little bit and give you a brief overview for you to understand how it is to move to Cyprus. And the next one is the actual immigration permit. So with that one you can stay here and you can live here for basically how long you want. And now I'm going to talk about this immigration permit a little bit more into detail, just because I have done it myself and I've done it for a lot of other people. So there are basically 2 things you need in order to officially get the immigration permit. And that is 1, you need to apply for a social insurance. And 2, you need to register at the Alien Immigration Office. At the Alien Immigration Office, you basically get your yellow slip if you're a European person, or you get your pink slip if you're a non-European person. Also, to have a smooth and easy process, definitely make sure to have the most important documents at your side. And those are always the passport, the job contract, and also your rental contract. If you have those documents, it will be very easy for you to move here to Cyprus, and as I said, it's not that complicated. It's just about finding the right person that helps you and actually doing it, signing documents, etc. etc. When you move to Cyprus, you of course also want to earn money here. And there are basically 2 options for you, and that is either 1, working locally here in Cyprus, or 2, working online. Let's talk about the first one first, and that is, in my opinion, Cyprus has a lot of job opportunities here, especially now where hotels and restaurants and cafes are opening again. A lot of them search for good employees, and if you are a disciplined and a persistent person, you will definitely find something here, as in every country. Good people will always be hired, so definitely make sure when you come here to apply for a lot of jobs, look at the Facebook Marketplace, look in Facebook groups, at the Bazaraki website, and also just Google and do your research in finding jobs. I'm sure you will find something. The salary here in Cyprus can also be very individual and depends very much on what you're doing. But what I want to get into a little bit is the working online part, because if you're coming to Cyprus, you have a lot of business benefits, especially for digital entrepreneurs and incorporating your own company. So I would say when you're moving to a new country, try something new. You can open your local business here, you can try to research online business opportunities, and I'm sure you will find something there. I'm not here to talk about anything that you should do or should not do. This is just my recommendation, because this is actually what I did. I worked first in a local business, and on the side I started my own online business, and as this online business grew and grew, I was then someday able to travel the world, and I moved to Bali and lived there for half a year, and now I'm living here in Cyprus and working online as well, and I enjoy a lot of business benefits here. Because in Cyprus we have a lot of entrepreneurs as well, and there are a lot of meetups. You can network very good here in Cyprus, and you can basically meet a lot of interesting person, and if you have a good confidence and you are able to find the right person, he will maybe then hire you or give you insights and tips on what you can do. You can also message people on LinkedIn, and if you don't annoy them, and also maybe give value to them, because everybody has something to give and have value, then you will be able to have a good network here in Cyprus and find new friends, business partners, and so on. So something else I want to talk about is here in Cyprus the living costs can be actually quite low, and I myself live on not that much money. I have a separate video talking about the living costs especially, so if you want, or if you're interested in that, you can watch that video as well. But something else I want to talk about is, if you're a non-European person, also make sure that you apply for a work permit, because you can't officially just work here if you're a non-European. So same for Europeans, there are some conditions. Definitely make sure to talk to your employer or talk to a great consultant that will help you with that. The healthcare system here in Cyprus is actually on a very good European level, and it's constantly improving and growing. So this is actually what's important to me, as well as the fact that when you're contributing to the NHS National Health System, also called ESI, you then get a free checkup and free medical needs from your local doctor. That basically means that this system is financed by taxes, and that's why you don't have to pay for every doctor visit that you do. But when you're working or having your own company, then your employer or your company is paying for that every month with your salary, and then you can visit your doctor. When talking about private insurances, I know that a lot of people that move here are very much worried about that. I myself was looking into private insurances as well, and maybe I will get one in the future, but at the moment I don't have one. Just because when I researched NHS a little more, I found out that it's supposed to be Europe-wide. So as I stayed most of the time in Europe myself, and I'm just pendling around different countries here in Europe, I found that NHS is pretty much what I need. And when I go to Asia and I stay a couple of weeks or months in Asia in a year, then I just get a separate travel insurance, but I don't need to pay private insurance for myself every month and basically stay in Europe where I have NHS anyway. So wherever you're from, this depends on your situation. Definitely make sure to get a good research, and also finding the best insurance is very important. Don't just look for the lowest premiums and the cheapest prices, because they are cheap for a reason. When you want to have a private insurance, definitely make sure that it has the actual services that you need, not just in Cyprus, but also Europe, or in best case worldwide, so that you don't need to rely on other services. Make sure to have a very good independent insurance agent, and he will be able to help you and guide you. Before I talk about cars and whether or not you should get one, rent one, or buy one, I want to mention that the cars here in Cyprus drive on the left. And I myself am from Germany, and we drive on the right side, so it was pretty confusing for me to drive on the left side here, but this just stays for a couple of days and then you will just see it as normal. And when you go back to your home country, this will be weird driving on the other side again. I was also driving on the left side in Bali, so I was a little bit used to it, but definitely make sure when you come here and you hop into a car after the airport to not drive on the right side. I'm sure nothing will happen, but it's always good to know that. So coming back to the topic and asking the question, should I rent or buy a car? I can definitely understand one. And my answer to that is very clear. And I have a philosophy that when you're staying short term here in Cyprus, you should just rent a car. Because this way you don't have to pay a lot of money in one time, and when you're here just for 1 month or 2 months, a year, then it doesn't make sense to buy a car that stays at your parking spot and gets the hot sun in the summer every time, and maybe even loses water or everything that can happen with a car that is not being used. So rent a car if you're staying here short term, and buy a car if you're here for more than, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, as I do. I bought a car myself because I knew that I will be staying in Cyprus for a long period of time, and right now I'm here for the past 8-9 months, and I will be traveling very soon, and then I can just leave my car under my parking spot. I have a covered parking spot, and I will be back here in 2 months, so I will have my car again. Maybe I will even leave it at the airport, let's see. But it would make sense for me to rent a car, because if I would pay 300-400 euros every month for a car, and I've been here for the last 9 months, this would be almost the price that I paid for my car, or if it would be the price that I paid for my car. So that is my answer. Rent it if you're here short term, buy it if you're staying and planning long term. Also, something very important you need to know is that there are basically no cars in Cyprus that are very, very cheap. In Germany, I know that you can get a car for less than 1,000 euros, and you can even drive that car for many years if you're lucky. But here in Cyprus, especially when you're buying it from a mechanic or a garage, you have to spend at the very least, let's say 2,000 euros, and you get a car from 1999 or 2000. So in order to get a good car from, let's say, 2013, 14, 15 upwards, construction year, you need to pay at the very least, for 4.5 or 5,000 euros. If that's a lot of money to you, I can understand it. Then you have to take a little risk and buy a car for 2,000-3,000 euros. That is a little older, but that's what I did in the beginning, because I didn't want to spend a lot of money for a car that I will be using here in the hot sun and in the streets that sometimes are very bumpy. But 1 month after I bought the car for 2,000 euros, I had to spend another 1,000 euros on the engine because it had a big problem. I'm not saying this will happen or should happen to you, and I hope that you're very lucky, but just make sure that it could happen. And you don't want to spend 1,000 euros on an engine on a car that you bought a month ago. So I definitely hope that you will find the right car for you. I hope this was helpful. Also, when talking about the summer, make sure or know that the summers here can get very, very hot, and it might be better for you to have an open car or maybe even a bike or a quad. I'm thinking about buying a quad just because I know how hot it can be in the summer. My car is an SUV car, and SUV cars here in Cyprus are very popular. Let's say every 6-7 cars out of 10 is a very big SUV car, Chinese, Japanese cars. But I always drive with open windows, especially in the summer, because otherwise you are just driving in a sauna. So I hope this helped you. The last part is actually also very important, so definitely keep listening as I'm talking about houses, apartments, flats, etc. And my philosophy here is very similar as with cars. If you're staying long term here in Cyprus, maybe even up to years, it might make sense to buy a house if you have the liquidity for it. The reason for that is actually very simple, and that is the houses here in Cyprus, especially in some areas, can be very cheap, even though this area is very popular, like here in Paphos, for example, compared to Central European countries. But also, if you're deciding to move back to your home country or going to another country, you can then just use this house as a holiday house. You can also make a business out of this property. You can list it as an Airbnb, get a passive income. You can also sell it for a higher price. You can rent it out on a long-term basis. So all these factors, or you can even just have this property as an asset, which is, in my opinion, better than having cash in your bank or worse, under your mattress. But this is not a financial video, so I just want to say that it might make sense to buy a house, but of course this depends very much on your individual situation. There is a big variety of properties here in Cyprus, so you will definitely find something for yourself. You can even buy some land, and if you're very fancy, develop your own house here. You can make a business out of that, whatever just feels right for you or what your expertise are. However, let's come back to the topic, and that is, if you're renting a property, it's very important to get the utility bills, because those documents are required for a lot of things that you want to do when you move to a new country, such as opening a bank account and many other things. Even applying for a job can be quite hard if you don't have the electricity or the water bill. So definitely make sure to talk to your employer to get, not to your employer, to your landlord, to get those documents. On the other hand, when you're buying a property, it's very important to get the title deeds, because then you officially, legally own this property. But all this your individual agent or your consultant will tell you as well. I want to say that this is very important, and that you need to know those things, that you don't make a mistake or do something that you regret later on. You will find definitely renting and buying properties at the Bazaraki, at the Facebook Marketplace, or even just when you network and you even talk to random people in the cafe. Maybe you say to them, hey, I just moved here to Cyprus and I'm looking for a property. Do you know someone? Cyprus people, and also the people that live here, are very, very welcome, and they want to help you. And they say, yes, of course, my cousin is a landlord and she just has an open house that she wants to rent out. So be open, and good things in life will happen to you, I'm sure about that. In summary, I can say that moving to a different country, moving to Cyprus, is not as complicated as you might think in the beginning. It can be as simple as just signing some documents, booking your flight ticket, and arriving at your new home country. However, I also know that there are a lot of little things that you also need to be aware of, and that's also why I wanted to make this video, in order to be able to help you with your decision and with your move to Cyprus. And if you like this type of content, definitely make sure to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, also leave a comment if you have any questions, and then I will see you in the next video.